This is the MIA MicroFlight Blade Grip Safety Kit for the Blade mCPX helicopter. Okay, this is the installation of the blade grips to the rotor head of the Blade mCPX. Start with the feathering shaft or the feathering spindle through the one of the blade grips, and then you're going to need to install, don't forget this little washer here with a step facing to the ball bearing. The step faces the ball bearing, the flat side faces the rotor head. You're going to need to use the screwdriver with the flat side to hold the feathering spindle and thread it or pass it through the rotor head. Very nice. And you're going to take the other small little washer with a flat side facing the rotor head. I don't know if this video can catch, the little step is towards the right from this angle. And then you're going to install, while holding the feathering shaft with the screwdriver, the other blade grip. Very nice. Okay, now here comes the tricky part, is to, while holding the blade grips, you're going to need to pick up that little tiny screwdriver, and I have a couple hands here helping me because I'm doing the videotaping, and you're going to pass it through the inside of the blade grip, the right hand. Right, there's the here's the flat head screwdriver. This is a very small flat headed screwdriver that's holding the feathering spindle in order for us to lock the other side with the tiny screw. Okay, so basically that's how that's done. Hold it, you feel the tension. Okay. Okay, it is recommended that you use a little bit of thread lock on the retaining screw that holds onto the feathering spindle that holds the blade grips. This is just for a safety measure. So once that's done, you're ready to install the top part of the MIA BGS. Take the top plate, insert one of the screws that's supplied in the kit, and take one of the O-rings and slip it right underneath the screw. That has a double function. It acts as a retainer while you're doing this particular installation, and then you're going to repeat the other with the other screw. Same thing. Slip it through the top and slide one of the tiny O-rings right below it, so that retains the screws in place. But the actual reason why we're using these little O-rings is to provide an added level of cushion to the blade grips. Now we can go ahead and install it through the top. Make sure that the M is facing up. The M is the MIA MicroFlight logo. Now we have the correct setup. Once again, the plate, the O-rings, as you see them here, the screws right through the lower plate. Now we're going to go ahead and secure those screws with the nuts. These are the nuts supplied in the kit. And once again, you can use a regular screwdriver, or you can use a MIA MicroFlight JAS 00 for these particular size screws. We're trying to be precise here. You don't need to be very precise, but we like to use the proper tools for the proper job. Okay, hold it from there, and then you can just use the okay, do not over tighten them. You just want to hold them nice and lightly, not even snug. You just want the nut to just to hold the tiny screws in place. You don't want to tighten that setup. Okay, repeat the same procedure with the other nut. And make sure you do not tighten those nuts. In order for the BGS device to work on the Blade mCPX, you need to follow these particular steps here. That's why we're doing this particular video, is so that you do not make any mistakes. And I forgot to mention that when you handle the top and bottom plate of the BGS kit, make sure you handle it carefully, because these plates are thin to allow the flexing that is required to allow the blade grips to pitch up and down, and so that they don't put stresses on the servos. You will not have the stresses on the servos if you follow these particular steps. Okay, once that's in place, you want to apply a little bit of thread lock right at these points right here, right where the screw meets the nut. Actually, I'm noticing that this part is a little too tight here. You don't want that too tight, and I can tell that by the distance of the end of the screw here. You should have about 1/32 threading left from the screw here. Once again, this is very important for these parts to flex properly. You want to have that not snug, but really light, and the screw is just there to support the top and the bottom plate. Now notice also that I did not include the blades here, just to make this installation more clear. But what you're going to do this, when you do this, you're going to be installing the blades in place. The next step is to install the links that fit on this wash plate upper arms and the rotor head, the blade grips. All the one with the smaller socket onto the wash plate upper ball link. Go ahead and install it. It should snap with just a little pressure. Make sure that that goes through the anti-rotation arm slot, which is that part there, and then we're going to snap that onto the blade grip ball link. Okay, so that part is in place. Repeat the other side with the other ball link. Working with these little tiny parts can be a little bit tricky if you have clumsy hands or big hands. My daughter's helping me with these parts, so it's a little bit easier for her because she's got smaller hands. But if you take your time, you should be able to do it. It's not very difficult with a little patience. Okay, so now we have the full setup, and you should be ready to go at this point. Okay, once again, it's very important that you do not over tighten. In fact, do not tighten these screws with the nuts. The blades need to pivot freely, and you may have a little bit of up and down plate. This is natural. You want to keep the blades this way. You don't want to tighten that setup here. This is to allow the blades to find their own center. You want them to pivot in case you hit an object or a wall or something. The blades will basically just give, and that's basically what you want. Now, can you hold the other blade? Now, if we watch this video carefully, you can see that the parts are able to flex. In fact, this part, let's remove the links. Okay, this is a bit of a demonstration here on how the upper and lower plates of the MIA BGS kit flex. If you watch this video carefully, notice how the blade is pivoting. The blade grip is pivoting basically on its own weight. I have the blade swung to one side here, just to show how this basically flexes with very little effort there. So for those of you that think that this is putting a stress on the servos, it is not if you installed it the way we have indicated in our video here. This is the purpose of this video, is to show this particular installation and setup. You need to set this up, and your blade should pivot very much the same way as it's doing here. Okay, if you watch closely, let's see if we can focus in on the blade grip. itself here with the upper flex plate. Notice how the flex plate is giving, it's flexing it on its own. Okay, so that's basically how this works. So it's not a rigid plate as some people are thinking it is. It's a very flexible plate, and by nature of this particular design is what allows this to flex smoothly. And you want this in order to allow the blade grips to pivot collectively up and down. Another thing I want to point out here is that unlike plastic material, this is not plastic material. Unlike plastics, or some people are using a little bit of dental floss here to hold the blade grips with a little knot. Unlike dental floss, nylon, even nylon fishing line, or even plastic, you manufacture this out of plastic, this part will not elongate, meaning that the part will not stretch lengthwise. You know, there's quite a bit of forces that are being applied here on this rotor head by nature of the high RPM that this helicopter needs to spin the rotor. So the forces acting on this plate are such that they're pulling or trying to pull the blade grips outward in this direction, on this side of the blade and on the other side of the blade. So you have those forces acting upon this the blade grips. With these particular plates, the MIA BGS safety plates, you have two plates, one on top and one at the bottom, that are preventing that are minimizing the stresses from those forces that are placed on the inner bearings. So basically this is doing the job of two things. One, it's providing you a safety grip for the blade grips, and the other, it's preventing any premature wear and tear on the ball bearings. And basically that's the purpose of this particular kit. Just keep that in mind. So this completes the installation setup and a bit of a demonstration how the MIA BGS parts allow for the blade grips to pitch nice and smooth. This is Mario signing off. Thanks for watching.